The Floating Tools panel allows you to style your Bootstrap page with many of the common classes directly within the page view, speeding up page construction and design implementation. No more switching between the page and the Properties or Style panel. Let's explore just what this tool allows you to do. We'll start by opening up a brand new Bootstrap project. We'll go to the New Page or Project, and we're going to select one of the new Bootstrap 5 blocks. Now we're going to go ahead and save this. And then open it as a project. So this isn't actually necessary. I just find that a lot of the features that are available to us within projects are kind of useful to have. A lot of times, by default, your floating tools will automatically show up, and they're automatically added to any new Bootstrap project. But there are a couple of ways to get it to display if it's not visible or if you close the panel. The first is through the Window menu Show Hide Panels dropdown. So it's here, Window, Show Hide Panels, and then down here in the Tools section, there's the Floating Tools. And here you can see our new Floating Tools panel. If you were to close this, you can also get it to show up by tapping the Shift key twice. You can see that if it's in your way, you can also move your cursor to wherever you want on the page, type Shift twice, and your Floating Tools will come flying to your cursor. The final way to open the Floating Tools panel is only available if you have the Design panel activated for your project. Let's do that now. The Design panel is located right here. It's the palette icon. If we click that, we can see that in this new project, it's not yet activated. So if we click on Activate, that'll bring up our Design panel. And if you want to learn more about the Design panel, there's other documentation for it that will be linked to within the written documentation. So within the Design panel, at the very bottom, there's another palette icon. And once again, if your floating panel is closed, you can simply click on the palette icon. That will bring it back up. You can drag it to wherever you want, or again, double tap the Shift to get it to fly right to where your cursor is. So the Floating Tools can be used to add styling to your page elements in two different ways. By default, it is in set mode. That means that it will add styling to the currently selected item. So if we have this selected and we were to click on any of our different floating tools, it would automatically add that particular styling to that element. The other way is paint mode. So if you look here at this final icon, it allows you to select or change between paint mode and set mode. So if we switch to paint mode, now when we select a tool, it will be applied to anything we subsequently click on the page. And I'll show you how that works as we go forward. So the first tool on the Floating Tools panel is used to add text color. So with this selected in set mode, hover over this tool and you can see that it pulls up a whole variety of different text colors. If we click on one of these, you can see that it then adds that text color to the selected element. Just looking over at the properties, we can see that clicking on that first text color box added a class of text muted. If we click down here, we can see that we would get the text danger. This box will make available to us any colors that are available within our design panel. If we don't have the design panel activated or have not made any changes, this will be the core Bootstrap colors. If, for example, under the colors portion of the design panel, we had changed our primary color, then that would be reflected down here as a different primary color. Equally, if we had changed any of the names here, those names would be reflected in this panel. So that's what adding color to our text looks like with set mode. Let's look what it looks like with paint mode. So going back over here, I'm going to change to paint mode. Then I'm going to go back here, select my text color, and then pick a different color, say warning. Now you can see that attached to my cursor is the little tool symbol. I can then go ahead and pick anything on the page to give that styling to. So this one, and maybe our blog. You can see that you can quickly make a number of different changes to your page very quickly in paint mode. Then if you want to change tools, all you have to do is go ahead and select another one, or go to the bin, or hit the escape key to get rid of that particular tool, and then pick up whichever tool you want to use next. I also want to point out that while in paint mode, you can also uncolor things. So in other words, if we select this X down here for removing text color, that also becomes attached to our pointer, and we can undo the changes that we just made quickly and easily, or put them back. Let's go back to set mode. The next tool over is our transform tool. Our transform tool lets us add one of 3 classes. So right now I still have the H1 on the page selected. So let's apply some different transforms. The first adds the text-lowercase class, which is going to lowercase everything. The next is the text-uppercase class, which is going to put everything in uppercase. And then finally, the text-capitalize class, which is going to give us initial capital letters and the rest lowercase. As with most of the tools, if we now click on the X here at the end, it will remove all classes associated with this particular tool. One thing that you might also notice is that our floating tools panel lights up with an inverted color any classes that we have applied. So right now on this H1 we have a different text color. And we also have a heading size and a font weight class applied. You can see that up here. If we were to go ahead and put on a capitalized class, you can see that that now lights up in that inverted color. So that is a quick glance at what styles are added and potentially can be removed or changed. Moving to the next icon over, we have font style. Here there's 2 different classes. You can either select FST normal or FST italics, and that's going to italicize any of the text that's selected. And again, we can remove that by clicking on the X. The next one over is font decoration. Here there's 3 different classes that can be applied to your text. The first is text decoration none. The next is text decoration underline. And the final is text decoration line through. Let's go ahead and remove those. The final icon, or the final tool used for styling your text, is the drop-down menu. This contains a number of lesser used stylings, things like heading size, so we can make this a lot bigger, a lot smaller, our font weight, our font size, our font weight, line height. So you can just play with those and automatically apply any kind of styling directly to the selected text. Now we move to the background controls. So the very first background control looks just like the icon from the style panel, and this is to set the background context. So in this case, let's select a different element. We'll go ahead and select this one. So maybe the background context here, instead of being white, could be blue. So we can use our primary color in order to color that in. And again, this is going to be populated with the colors that come from either the base Bootstrap colors or colors set in our design panel. And again, like the other tools, we can remove that background context color by clicking on the X. The next tool over allows us to toggle the background gradient. The next one over to control background, but more to control the look of things like cards or navigation on our page, and that's to control our box shadow. So right now, this particular div I have selected is a box shadow of small through the Shadow SM class here. With this control, we can turn that shadow off. We can make that a shadow regular or a shadow large. Or again, we could remove it. The next three icons are all used to style element borders. The first allows you to select a border color. Either the standard Bootstrap colors or the palette generated in the design panel, if activated, can be selected. The result will be the addition of a border color class, for example, border primary. This is a smart control, so the default border class will also be automatically added, resulting in a border on all four sides of the element. So for example, if we choose this, simply click on the color. We can see now that there's a border the entire way around on all four sides. Hovering over the border color will further bring up a menu that can allow you to control where the border is added. For example, only on the top with a class of border top, the other possibilities are border bottom, border end, border start, both border top and border bottom, and both border start and border end. The 10th icon is the second border control and controls the border width. So for example, selecting a border width of 5, we'll add the border 5 class. We can see that if we click here. Let's go back and add the border to all sides. The final styling icon controls the border radius. So if we select this element again, click here, we can select all sides, which is going to add a class of rounded. All sides none, which is going to add rounded 0. All sides small, medium, or large, which are going to add rounded 1, 2, or 3. Rounded top, rounded bottom, rounded start, rounded end, and then circle or pill. So that concludes our walkthrough of the Bootstrap floating tools. Hopefully this will help you get your designs put onto the page quicker and more efficiently.